Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
On the show with us today, all the way from Carlsbad, California, which happens to be the headquarters for the National Association of Music Merchants. If you're in the music business, especially if you're a musician, an instrumentalist, or someone that just loves musical equipment as kind of a gearhead, you would probably know that organization more so as NAMM. They hold two great events a year, along with a lot of other things. Of course, their big Winter NAMM Show just took place, and we're going to talk about what the hopes and dreams are of maybe getting Summer NAMM back to Nashville. But anyway, John Mlynczak has an extensive range of experience in the music industry, music education, technology, and leadership. He currently serves as the president and the CEO of NAMM. Prior to NAMM, John served as Vice President of Music Education and Technology at Hal Leonard, where he oversaw worldwide education market strategy, managed Noteflight, Essential Elements Interactive, and Essential Elements Music Class, and collaborated on all music education technology-related initiatives for Hal Leonard. Previously, he was managing director of Noteflight, and he is the immediate past president of the Technology Institute of Music Educators. John, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Bob.
I am so glad to have you on board, and congratulations on the new position. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much. This is week 5.
Wow. Are you getting settled into the office and all the responsibilities and duties that go with it?
Yes, it's been a really nice, seamless transition. Everyone in the staff is amazing, and we're all enjoying taking time to learn each other and go through this transition.
One of the things I always like to talk about with our guests on the show is obviously their musical history, and you and I actually share some of that same ground that we've both traveled on. You're a trumpet player, as was I back in the day. And I understand that your first trumpet in the Mel Winds in Boston?
I was until I moved about a month ago. So I guess I have to update that. But I do have all my horns sitting out here in the office. So I played about 20 minutes today of long tones.
Let me ask you, first of all, how did you get started in the music business?
Music business was almost exactly 10 years ago. So I was teaching music, playing music, and you get to that stage where you've made it, you're teaching during the day, you're gigging. You learn very quickly that nobody needs trumpet at 9:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. So you kind of got to fill your days a little differently. You're more needed on Friday night and Saturday afternoon weddings and evening symphony concerts. So, you're teaching music, you're playing, you're living the life. And just through gigging, I was in Louisiana at the time. So through gigging, I got to know the folks at PreSonus Audio, and I was teaching music technology. It was a really passionate thing for me. And I had started a music technology course at my school. In fact, I wrote the curriculum for the state of Louisiana because it wasn't even a course back then. It was not approved. So we got it approved. And then through the conversations, we just say music technology is a thing, and PreSonus had great gear. They're based in Baton Rouge, and it evolved into, do you want a job? Kind of how a lot of things have evolved in my life. And so that's when I started the music business. In 2013, PreSonus created a position for education. I forget the managing director of education or something like that. And I jumped in and I started January 1, and I was at a NAMM show 3 weeks later, and the rest is history.
Was that your first NAMM show that you had ever attended?
Yes, 10 years ago. My first NAMM show was January of 2013.
And of course, it was the Winter NAMM, which is the big daddy of them all. How did that feel for you? Was that, I know every time that I have gone, and I've gone, oh my gosh, probably going all the way back to 1983, I've off and on have attended the NAMM show. Every time I go, it almost seems overwhelming.
That's a good word for it. It's my first NAMM. I'll never forget, because I had been to the big education-centric conferences, and, like Texas Music Educators or Midwest, and I thought I knew what a big conference was. And I went to NAMM, and I remember walking in, and just my mind was absolutely blown. And the size, but also the thing that really stuck with me is I had never seen or even knew about the part of the music industry that creates, distributes, innovates, makes every product I've ever used or taught students how to use. I had no idea how much was behind the world of the instrument I held or the software I taught with. It was just absolutely mind-blowing.
When we talk about NAMM, the National Association of Music Merchants, outside of the gearheads and obviously the buyers and sellers that like to go to NAMM show each year, it's much deeper than that. NAMM has a much larger footprint. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that NAMM does?
Yeah, no, thanks for teeing that up. It's really good for folks to understand all NAMM does. So NAMM is the association that represents anyone who makes, sells, distributes, or uses a musical product globally. And a lot of our work as an association is to represent the collective impact of everyone who makes, sells, distributes, or uses a musical product in public policy, in global trade. And so we do a lot of work that our members never see, but if we did not do it, our members would certainly notice. And that's a big part of what a trade association does for its global membership. And of course, we also put on a huge trade show. NAMM is now the world's largest global gathering of the music industry, and that happens in January in Anaheim. I know we're going to talk about summer soon, so I'll get to that. And we also, we offer a range of member benefits, and that's another area we're looking at exploring. So that's NAMM. NAMM also has the NAMM Foundation, which is the charitable arm of NAMM. And so NAMM and NAMM members support the foundation, and the foundation provides funding and programming to basically create more music makers. And the little known fact about NAMM is, as a nonprofit, right? NAMM is 501c6, NAMM Foundation's a C3. All the profits of NAMM are invested into the foundation to create more music makers. That's why we do what we do.
And I think that's something that, as a kid myself growing up, we had orchestra or we had band in the elementary schools. We didn't have YouTube or other social media platforms to really discover music. It was that being able to hold, I don't know what it was, third or fourth grade, that flutophone in your hand for the first year. And then you elevated to, like I said, I elevated to trumpet, fourth or fifth grade. And that's what we got to do a lot of. But that's gone away because of budget cuts for the most part. How is NAMM stepping in and maybe assisting in the education process of the youth of today of learning an instrument?
Yeah, and that's, the NAMM and the NAMM Foundation have been doing this work for many years, over 20 years, and actually goes back almost 100 years into the founding of NAMM. NAMM is a 122-year-old organization, and looking through the history of NAMM, this has been a big part of supporting music, even in the 50s for baby boom and beyond. So NAMM has funded a lot of research that is used worldwide to make sure folks understand that the cognitive benefits of playing a musical instrument, which allows advocates to advocate to keep music in schools and keep music being taught. NAMM Foundation has funded countless charities that are offering musical programming, anywhere from guitar programs to Little Kids Rock to on and on and on. There's so many programs that NAMM has funded, started. The Technology Institute for Music Educators was started with a NAMM grant. So over the years, NAMM's work has been focused on making sure that the future of the music industry is strong, because every single one of our future music makers is in school right now.
Now, is this something that you coordinate through various manufacturers out there? You mentioned, obviously, PreSonus. We've had Arash Darudi, who is the general counsel and EVP of Fender Musical Instruments, on the show. And he's talked about some of the programs that they've created. Are you finding opportunities or avenues to work with various manufacturers to obviously help either offset some of that cost or be able to put instruments into the hands of kids?
Absolutely. I mean, just like the music community is, the community of folks that are doing nonprofit work in the music ed space, it's like everything else. It's a community. We all know who each other are. We're all talking because we're all working for the same purpose. So the NAMM Foundation has some direct programming that it does. NAMM Foundation also donates to many other nonprofits. So a lot of the funding is granted to multiple grantees who are out doing that work. And we're also coordinating efforts with all the other nonprofit and folks, because that's really the goal. We're all trying to create more music makers, and it's not a competitive space. It's a very collaborative space. So it's a lot of the work we do on behalf of our members. We do it with our members. We have a lot of our NAMM members have their own charitable outreach that they do locally. So if NAMM can provide resources or marketing or information sharing, we work with all of our members globally on these initiatives.
John Mlynczak is joining us, who is the president and CEO of NAMM.
Hey, this is Dave Craver, president of the Amp Kids Foundation, and you're listening to the business side of music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
As a musician, you have a dream, that vision of what success looks like for you. Though it's not only about the money, money is part of it. Whether you've been extremely successful or you're just striving to maintain a regular cash flow, you need a plan. Money Concepts can help you develop a customized plan to achieve the financial stability and success you want. For over 40 years, Money Concepts has been providing holistic financial planning services to individuals, families, and business owners. As an independent firm, Money Concepts and their associates are committed to always represent the best interest of the client. It's really about a committed, benevolent interest in them personally. This independence, coupled with that committed, benevolent interest, means they represent you, the client, not a product supplier. It's not about selling products, it's about helping you achieve success. To learn how this can benefit you, contact my buddy, John Adams, with Money Concepts at 737-867-9309. That's 737-867-9309. You can also email John at jadams@moneyconcepts.com.
Hey, this is Jack Sharkey, host of Between the Notes. Take a break from all the turmoil in the world and join us each week as we explore the magic, mystery, and beauty of music. Between the Notes, a podcast dedicated to everything music, available everywhere you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the business side of music.
On the show with us today, John Mlynczak, who is the president and CEO of the National Association of Music Merchants. We also know him as NAMM for those of us that are gearheads and love to attend the trade show every year. Let's talk about the trade show, because obviously that's kind of my sweet spot, and I think it is for a lot of our listeners. Great show. It's been going on for decades upon decades, and then COVID hit. And that really affected not only NAMM, but affected a lot of the trade show industry. And it really, I guess for a lack of a better term, really kind of upset the calendar apple cart for NAMM. You had the Winter NAMM Show in Anaheim, California, every January, and then you had the Summer NAMM Show. It was either June or July here in Nashville, Tennessee. That was kind of almost a reboot for NAMM to try and figure out how to get that trade show back up and running.
Yes. So we'll start with how NAMM handled that, because obviously the impacts of COVID on the entire music making space. I mean, you look at 122 years of history, and in preparing for this role, I've read every piece of NAMM history I can get my hands on, including the minutes from every board meeting I can find. And you look back, NAMM has been doing this for over 122 years, and it's been evolving for 122 years. And you have history of depressions and wars and inflation and recession and all these things that have happened. But you really couldn't have ever imagined a global pandemic where the world said it is not safe to stand next to a human being and move air for the music making community. It was just a incredible impact on all of us. And so, of course, NAMM could not have a show in 2021. Being in California, California said not allowed. And we're actually still in the 3-step dig out process because, as you know, convention halls are booked far in advance. The dates are so California wasn't even open to allow trade shows in January of 22. It wasn't until June that we can even have one. So NAMM made the decision that the gathering has to come back. The first available date was in June of 22. And then there was a 3-year plan to do a show in June of 22, in April of 23, and get back to January in January of 24. And that had to do with COVID reopening, and that had to do with convention center availability, and that had to do with just spacing it out a little bit, not having 2 big winter shows that close to each other. And that means NAMM, the NAMM staff will, also in an unprecedented way, have put on 3 Winter NAMM shows in Anaheim, right, in an 18-month period. And that is an incredible lift. One of those shows is an incredible lift in a 12-month period. 3 in 18 months is pretty amazing.
When we talk about the NAMM show, especially the Winter NAMM show, and it runs, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it runs for 4 days each year.
Correct. It'll run for 4 days in January and beyond. We had to make some adjustments the past 2 shows based on availability of the hall.
But I remember attending over a 4-day period in years past and still not being able to see everything. It is such a large physical footprint of all the music manufacturers. Now, with COVID getting behind us and we're all trying to get back to some form of normalcy, is the current setup, and you said 3 shows in 18 months, are you still being able to create that large of a footprint, or is there a build back process?
It's in a build back process. I think, we published the numbers of the show. We were just under 50,000 attendees in last April, just a couple months ago. And we're growing back. Now we haven't opened registration yet for 24. That'll happen end of August. So we'll know then what the actual numbers will be. But the what we're feeling, the pull back to January, getting back on cycle, is incredibly strong. The April and the June shows that NAMM had to go through were really get the industry back together at all costs. And NAMM's investing in that, right? Like NAMM did not scale down the quality of what NAMM does. NAMM made an investment to keep the show going. But as we come back, we're also evolving, right? We recognize that trade is a really important part of any trade show, but globally now, the NAMM show in winter in Anaheim is the largest global gathering of the music industry. And what we look at very strategically now in the conversations that we're having that are very exciting is what happens on the magic of NAMM. Because you made the point really eloquently a couple of times here, Bob, that, at a NAMM show, there's only so much you could experience, whether there's 115,000 people there or there's 50,000 people there. One human's probably going to catch, at a 50,000 person show, one human's probably going to catch 2% of what happens at that show. And if it's 100,000 people, you're going to maybe, catch 1%, but the important thing to us is, who are you and what 1% do you need to meet to change your musical life? Is it an artist? Is it a networking event? Is it trade? Is it retail? Is it manufacturer? So we actually really strategically look at who's attending, how they're connecting. And we have a lot of data now that has allowed us to now better understand who's showing up and who's being impacted in what positive areas. And our goal now is bring people back together, figure out where the magic's happening, use the data we have to see exactly where the biggest impact is, and pour gasoline on that fire and just accelerate this industry gathering for the many years to come.
I think one of the things that impressed me so much during the last Winter NAMM that I attended was that and you mentioned it, the international contribution, the international involvement, especially from Asia, seeing so many different, and not just what you would expect, the typical guitar and amplifier manufacturers, but the brass and the woodwind and the percussion companies that were coming out of the Orient. And that is such a huge market that I think sometimes, at least here domestically in the United States and North America, I think we overlook, but it is a big market.
Absolutely. We had 120 countries represented at the NAMM show just last month. And that's a big part of what we do. And I think over 30% of our attendance is international. And that number is growing because, again, it is the predominant international show. I think when you look at the statistics of the music industry, another interesting fact is over 90% of the products in our industry have some Chinese or foreign-made component, right? Whether it's a piece of metal that's sourced overseas or it's completely assembled or everything in between. The global supply chain is, really important, and it's important for everyone to get together at NAMM as international community so they meet face to face and they have those opportunities to talk with suppliers, distributors, manufacturers. That's what the gathering does.
Now, you mentioned 120 countries. Are there some countries that stand out? And I mean, the obvious would be China or maybe Japan. But are there other countries, maybe from Europe or South America or other parts of the world, that you're seeing a bigger impression of now?
Yeah, we work hard at strategically growing the global community. So yes, China and Japan, very, very big, very important. The other one, so you look at Europe, one of the things that we had a lot of meetings on last month at the NAMM show, and we continue to do is, unifying Europe and UK and being a force in those countries where every country in Europe has a music association, so there's a German one, there's an Italian one, there's a French, and they have now there's a need for umbrella organizations to bring them all together. And NAMM is at that table, leading that table to make sure that we're creating an opportunity for everyone to talk. We had several meetings at the NAMM show where we brought together the entire international coalition, where a lot of these folks are seeing each other and talking to each other more at NAMM than they do outside of NAMM. So that's a really big one, like just all the European ones together in the same room. And we're all talking about a lot of the same issues. A lot of it's trade. Green politics is another one that keeps coming up, and the EU will pass a law and suddenly you can't solder an instrument with lead in the whole industry. So we have to stay ahead of this stuff to make sure that the needs of musical manufacturers are at the table. And that's what we do. NAMM that's one of those pieces of work I was saying that if NAMM wasn't doing it, you would notice, but you probably don't see us doing it. So a lot of partnerships there. South America is very big, big partnerships in Brazil. We have a really strong leader there that's unifying South America. A lot of work we're doing there as well. Then the trades, as far as, Indonesia is coming up as a place where it is increasing as far as a manufacturing hotspot.
Let's now talk about that 800-pound gorilla or elephant in the room, and that is Summer NAMM, which, went away. Is that something that's going to be coming back? Is that something that's on your calendar?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And so, the decision to pause Summer NAMM was made because essentially when we found out the dates that we could get back in Anaheim, April and June, having winter shows in the spring and a winter show in the summer, it didn't make sense to have a summer show and too many shows close to each other as we dug back. So now that we're back on cycle, January 24, the time is now to look at what do we do in Nashville in the summer. I cannot say today that Summer NAMM is definitely coming back. We're not ready to make that announcement at all. I will say we've had many conversations internally, and from the team so far, we are very excited about exploring what NAMM can do in the summer in Nashville moving forward. And this is a time in history where we need to listen to the industry and ask them, what do you need? Because we are a membership association. And so where we are now is we've identified as a team that, yes, there's a huge opportunity in Nashville in the summer. Do we just say, oh yeah, let's bring back Summer NAMM the way it was in 2020 or the way it was going to be in 2019, I guess, or do we rethink what that experience is? So we're rethinking the experience, and we're having some preliminary meetings. I'm really excited about what's going to happen. I truly believe we'll be announcing something very cool by the end of this year, but I can't make that announcement now. But what I can say is that we're thinking about what should NAMM be offering in the summer to serve all of our members, and how does that experience look for 24 and beyond? Not necessarily what did that look like in 2019 or 2018.
John Mlynczak is joining us, who is the president and CEO of NAMM.
Hey everybody, this is Arash Daruti, the Executive Vice President and General Counsel for Fender. You're listening to Bob Bender with the Business Side of Music.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
Whether you consider yourself a musician or not, music is all around us, and it affects our everyday lives, whether it's background music influencing our shopping habits in a store, organ music adding the vibe to a baseball game, or a playlist convincing us to keep going on that last mile of a run. I'm Mindy Peterson, host of the podcast Enhance Life with Music, where we take a holistic look at music's benefits through the lens of science and medicine, entertainment, and business. You can find me and Enhance Life with Music at mpetersonmusic.com/podcast or wherever you get your audio.
When you have a Korg synth at your fingertips, the possibilities are endless. Be it digital, analog modeling, altered FM, wave sequencing, or the multi-engine synth, Korg gives you easy access to a variety of features to help you get the perfect sounds quickly. Whether you're a professional musician or just starting out, Korg truly has a synthesizer to help you express yourself. Visit Korg.com or your favorite Korg dealer to get your hands on one of their products to create new music always. Korg, the official sponsor of the Business Side of Music.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
On the show with us today, John Mlynczak, who is the president and CEO of the National Association of Music Merchants. One of the questions that I think always sits in the background, because it's very easy to talk about what NAMM has accomplished, to be able to talk about Winter NAMM or Summer NAMM. What's the future of the National Association of Music Merchants? I know you said there's going to be some hot button topics when it comes to regarding Summer NAMM, but let's move beyond that. What else is NAMM working on for the future?
So anytime you have a transition, one of the amazing opportunities is, you come in, you can't help but look 20 years out. I am the fourth CEO in 77 years.
Wow.
And so there's this, I think the minimum any of us have lasted is 22 years. So I have to at least do 22 years because I'm a trumpet player, right? I want to be the best, but I'm not going to be last. So minimum 22 years is what I'm signing up for. But, you look at it and all I'm thinking about is the future right now. And it's a really important time to do it because we had a major disruption with COVID. We have a huge opportunity. The world was forced to figure out how to do anything that could possibly be done online, was done online. And now the world has come back and we as a society, we as a musical community, we as NAMM, right? We now know what has to be connected in person and what can be done online. And that's actually a great opportunity, right? So now what is NAMM looking at? We know the world of musicians needs a global gathering of the music products industry. We serve that. What has to happen in person that can only happen in person, but also what can happen online ahead of that show and after that show to keep the energy going for longer. And then what can continue happen for the rest of the year to continue to serve our members in a way that only NAMM can. And is that online events? Is that a summer event in Nashville, right? So we're looking at what happens in Anaheim, we know is amazing. We're looking at what has to happen in person, the relationships, the networking, the connection, the music, the artists, all of that. We're looking at what can we do in summer as well. And then we're looking at what can we do year round to create an incredible amount of member benefits. Again, we are a membership association. And so my vision, and very much NAMM's vision, of course, is that we serve our members and we serve them 365 days a year. So in the future, what does that look like? What does our website offer in 3 years where every member and member employee can log in and get incredible value? We have a huge list of things that we want to add to create member benefits that are year round. And so my vision, you look out 5 years, you have NAMM that serves members 365 days a year. And 1 week of that is in Anaheim, maybe 4 days of that is in Nashville. Maybe there's offsite events, member meetups that happen throughout the year strategically in locations. There's constant online programming, there's networking, there's connections. It is a flourishing year-round support for members.
Let's talk about membership for a minute before we say goodbye. And that is, who can become a member, and are there different levels of membership?
I couldn't have paid you enough to ask this question. This is amazing. So, right. So membership in NAMM is actually changed in the pandemic. It's broadened, which is really exciting. And I'm glad everyone listening can hear this. So NAMM members include any manufacturer who makes any musical product, any retailer or distributor who sells or distributes a musical product. And also NAMM has an individual membership. So individuals can register to be members and attend the show. And this includes anyone working in the musical industry, anyone that might be doing podcasting or producing on their own or teaching. So any educator, private instructor, K-12, college, anyone teaching music can now be a member of NAMM. And we encourage everyone to go to namm.org, attend the show, register, and that individual membership and recognizing that individual contributor is, I think, where the future of NAMM gets really exciting.
And I'm assuming that there's really benefits for all those different levels for whether you're an individual or you're a manufacturer that makes that signing up for membership worth the value.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I'll tell you, we're actually about to change the membership dues, so I can't quote the new price. Like the price of a manufacturer, making millions of dollars a year to be a NAMM member is right now it's $230. It's so incredibly low, right? And of course that gets access to the show. There's member services, there's benefits, there's education, and also supporting the association that is working for you globally to make sure that public policy and international trade and all of this, that music making is at the forefront of the people making decisions worldwide. And we're expanding member benefits too, because we envision a world in which people will join NAMM and be a NAMM member, whether or not they want to go to the NAMM show or they can't attend every year. And that's really important. So anyone listening who's an eligible member, I would ask you, join NAMM. It's what the work we do here is worth the $100 to $200 that it's going to cost you to be a NAMM member.
And one more time, where do they go to find that information and become a NAMM member?
namm.org
is the best way to do it. John, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bob. This is so much fun, and I hope I get to see you in Nashville.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound designed by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Busan.